Magnus Carlsen, the strongest chess player in the world, was in a barbarian mode in chess.com's title Tuesday Blitz event. What he did was really epic, was very remarkable. He finished this beautiful chess tournament with perfect score, with 11 wins out of 11 games. Really wild stuff when you think about it harder. Of course, maybe this is not really one of the most important tournaments that Magnus is playing now, but still, he had to play with the black pieces against Hikaru Nakamura, against Fabiano Caruana with the black pieces too, so also with the black pieces against Vincent Keimer. So he had really tough opponents. It's not really an easy tournament, so congratulations to Magnus. I think Magnus is finally back in top shape, and I'm really glad that Magnus is now in top shape, because he's now playing here in Croatia, in my country, and he's playing in Zagreb. I'm only 60 kilometers far away. Maybe I'll visit and also watch some games live, maybe by Magnus Carlsen. He's playing, of course, the Grand Chess Tour Rapid and Blitz, and in my opinion, if he plays like this, we'll have an epic and beautiful time here in Croatia for sure. So I've sorted out a beautiful game played by Magnus Carlsen against Anton Korobov from the Title Tuesday event, and in my opinion, this was the most attractive game played by Magnus Carlsen among many great games that he played, but I think this was simply the best one. I think it has also beautiful theoretical value, but also cool tactics and of course cool middle game strategies. So Magnus opened with the move b3, which is of course the Nimzo-Larsen attack, and this idea to play the game like this is sort of an idea. If you're familiar maybe with the concepts of the Nimzo-Indian defense, then you could maybe try to do the same, because there are also many lines in the Nimzo in which you're playing the move b6, bishop to b7, e6, knight to f3, bishop to knight to f6, bishop to b4. So this is now the setup that you're doing with the Nimzo-Indian defense. So also with the white pieces, you can play sort of a Nimzo-Indian in a reversed way, of course, if you're familiar, of course, with the concepts of the Nimzo-Indian itself. So here in the game, d5 was played by Korobov, bishop to b2. We have c5, grabbing some spaces in the center, e3. So you see Magnus is playing now almost like with the black pieces, the Nimzo-Indian, but as we said, in a reversed way. So knight to f3, we have now the move e6, d4 hitting the center, and now after move knight to f3, notice in this Nimzo-Larsen attack, the main strategic goal for you is to occupy the e5 square, if possible also to support your outpost, the knight on e5 with the move f4, and then you have a grip on the square e5, and then maybe later you could launch a flank attack here on the king side. So in the game, bishop to d3, c takes d, e takes d, now b6 by Korobov, trying also himself here to occupy also like Magnus Carlsen. Magnus wants to occupy the e5 square, black wants to occupy now the e4 square. Magnus goes with a3, not allowing this bishop on d3 to be challenged by the knight on b4. Nice prophylactic move, and now this bishop is still controlling the e4 square, so Magnus is trying now queen to e2, and now knight to d2, controlling the potential outpost of blacks, of course, around the square e4. So Korobov continues the development, knight to d2, bishop to d6, queen to e2, controlling further the e5 square, and also here defensively controlling the e4 square. So rook to c8 by Korobov, knight to e5 by Magnus. You don't want to take, of course, knight takes e5, then d takes e5 leads into complications. Game over for black, you get the fork. After move knight to e5, casting play by Korobov, and now Magnus spiced up the game with really an amazing theoretical novelty. The engine doesn't like this move, but in Blitz, I think this is a beautiful idea. Magnus pulled off an amazing g4, attacking the position immediately, going all in, of course. Show me what you got, let me see how you're going to defend this move. And now Korobov immediately doesn't react correctly. He plays now the move knight to e7. A better choice would simply to play the move queen to c7, because look what actually happens if you play h4 here. If you're trying to play aggressively further, if you're trying, of course, to make further progress, actually look how devastating this position can also be for white. This wasn't played in the game, but I wanted to show you a releasing pressure idea here, a simplifying idea here for black. Black can actually go with this idea, knight to e4, and it seems so that black should not play the game like this, because white has a great defense of the e4 square. But look what happens. After knight to e4, black doesn't have to even pick up the knight. Black, first of all, picks up here the pawn on d4, sacrifices first of all the knight here after bishop to d4. Now we have bishop to e5. Now we take out the knight. Now the bishop is hanging. If you of course retreat with the knight somewhere, then we will eventually simply take out the bishop. If you take out now the bishop, then queen to e5 comes with the direct threat against the rook. Now you have to step back with the rook, and now we pick up the knight from this point on. It's a one-way ticket in black's favor. So this is, I think, a nice simplification idea here for black. Black should be much better here. So for instance, if you get challenged maybe with the black pieces like this, I think this is must-know theory with the move knight to e4 followed with knight takes d4. Unfortunately for Korobov, he didn't play this line, queen to c7, knight to e7, and now Magnus is taking over. Queenside calcing. Now this whole concept is not working. You're not challenging anymore the d4 square. Bad move by Korobov, and now Magnus is again taking over. So knight to g6, we have knight takes g6, h takes g6, king to b1, improving the position of the king, and now Magnus protects also the weak pawn on a3. But nothing changed defensively, I think, here for Magnus. Magnus has a solid position, and he has now also good control of the c2 square, although so far we have to acknowledge, of course, Korobov has the possibility on the c file. So that's why Korobov continues the pressure on the c file. That's the only chance that he's seeing now after ah4 that Magnus is now playing. We have a rook to c8 again by Korobov, and now rook to h3 here by Magnus Carlsen. Now knight to e4, again not the best of moves here by Korobov. For instance, the engine suggests here the move b5, sacrificing maybe the pawn just in order to open some files, open some diagonals. It's sort of a desperate try, I think, also for black here, but that's the only way to spice up the game. But Korobov found a different idea, which is actually not working, because what Korobov hoped for is of course this line, bishop to e4, d takes e4, and now he hoped that Magnus would eventually take here the pawn on e4, and then of course black can take out the pawn on c2. But Magnus is of course not interested into this line. He played the move c4, locked simply the position, and now this e4 pawn becomes simply a long-term weakness. So we have now the move f5. Korobov tries to protect somehow his pawn chain here, but now Magnus plays a beautiful h5, and I think this becomes now really one-way ticket in white's favor, because Magnus is now opening the position in front of black's king. The position will explode. Many of these pawns will be deflected in front of the king, so Magnus has now great attacking chances, and black is lacking in attacks here on the queen side. Black never made a decisive move on the queen side, never really attacked Magnus Carlsen's queen side here, so white is of course much faster in the attack here on this side of the board. So g5, Magnus continues to pressure, Magnus still continues to push the pawn, and now of course d5 liberates now the long diagonal for the dark square bishop. You have to lock it, but now here g takes f5, g takes f5 also by Korobov, and now rook to h6. In some lines, if you are of course careless, then there are some tactics, maybe with rook to d6 followed with bishop to e5, getting some forks. So I think the piece that we have to attack is now the key defender, the bishop on d6. So in the game, g4 was played by Korobov, and now Magnus Carlsen played the brilliant knight takes e4. Very wild stuff. This bishop is locked, these files are open. So in the game, f takes e4, Magnus played now queen takes g4, but also queen to e4 is a possibility. As I said, if you play rook to d8 or something, then as we said, rook to d6, and then maybe bishop to d6 is an opportunity. So many tactical opportunities here for white. So queen to g4 played by Magnus. Here Korobov tried to get some pieces into the defense, but now Magnus played the correct move, rook to g1. You cannot take, of course, because first of all you get this one, takes, and now again we have a new promotion. It's game over here for black. So after move rook to g1 in this particular position, Korobov resigns. So you could maybe try this defensive idea, rook to g7, but this is also not working. After a couple of trades of pieces, the bishop on d6 is hanging. Now you can maybe pick up the pawn on h7, but your king is lined up also like the bishop on the 7th rank, so you could lose the size of material. So if you want to step back, then you lose this pawn, so it's also not working. So as I said, after move rook to g1, Korobov resigns. So great game by Magnus, but also great tournament. Congratulations again for winning the title Tuesday. Great performance by Magnus. That's the Magnus that we need also tomorrow in the Grand Chess Tour in Croatia. I will follow the tournament for sure. In my opinion, a great thing for also for Croatians here that the greatest chess player, one of the at least the greatest chess players of all times, comes to your country. So okay, I hope that you enjoyed this game. I really enjoyed it a lot. Interesting ideas of the Nimzo-Larsen attack for sure. Magnus pull off some great tactics here, great attacking chances. And if you want to see more Magnus Carlsen games or maybe some top engine games, you can check out my commented chess games, but also my commented chess games played by computer series. Here is the link of our playlist, and if you like this content, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. See you soon with some more videos, and what would we say? Chess is the best, of course.